Do I wait for the light yet, or is it? We're on all. Chaska Parks Commission, September 10th, call to order. Roll call, please, Mary.
Burnett, chair.
Here.
Elizabeth Ryan Lee, vice
Here.
chair.
Here.
Georgiana Keyboard. Here. Zach Saresi.
Here.
Danielle Haggy. Carly Whitner.
Here.
Michael Howard.
Here.
Terry Schworm.
Here.
Kevin Hill. Thank you.
Okay, item 3, adopt agenda. Anybody see any issue with the agenda as written? Anything to add? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adopt.
I'll motion to adopt.
Resick. Second, Howard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 4, visitor presentations, seeing none. We will move on to item 5, approve previous meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on the previous meeting minutes? If not, let's for a motion to approve previous meeting minutes. Schwarm,
I second.
and second is Carly Whitner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moves us on to item number 6. Receiving council and planning commission minutes. 6A, we have council minutes from June 3rd, June 17th, July 1st, and July 15th. Any discussion on either of the council meeting minutes from said dates? No? Okay. We will receive the council minutes. Moving on to 6B, Planning Commission from May 8th, June 12th, and July 10th. Any discussion on either of those meeting minutes? Being none, we will receive those as well. And that moves us right along to item number 7 and 7A. Recommend city council authorize staff to enter into a professional services agreement with Confluence to develop a master plan for Southwest Chaska Community Park. Very excited about this one.
All right.
Yes. It was really moving to get to it.
I'm gonna go ahead and just pull up my screen here. Got a presentation to coincide with our items tonight.
Just a quick side note before you get going, Marshall. I actually just randomly, I was at a softball game the other day for my daughter and I heard somebody talking about this, about that whole area out there.
Oh, nice.
It was interesting to be like, hey, guess what? Exciting things happening. So.
Great.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's talk about the master plan. I thought I would start with first, just a little bit of context. I think you all know where the location is, but for our viewers out there who may not be as familiar. The location we're talking here is the southwest portion of Chaska. We have a future park plan, which is a 52-acre site. It sits just south of Big Woods Boulevard and to the east of 212. So it's kind of the existing farmland over there right now. And what you're looking at here is a developer that we created. So as you're seeing, a lot of new homes are getting built along that eastern edge. And so we provided this information to the developers so that those moving into that area have a general sense of what's to come. So very conceptual image on the left there. And then on the right, just some planning features that we talked about. We do know it's going to include a Miracle League baseball field We continue to, work with Rotary on the fundraise for, we know it's gonna include a universal, design playground adjacent to it. And then the site also, has some area that is owned by the school district. Thought of a future elementary school being on that site. The other unique thing about the park site, is to the south, we can run to the big woods. We've talked about a lot of energy there with some recent, successful grant applications for us to be able to preserve, a large portion of that woods. So I think that's going to be a really great feature to play off of with the park, and we want to include that as part of the master planning process as well. So that's kind of our next step, is to develop a master plan. You know, we kind of know these things are being factored into the park, but like I said, it's a 52-acre site. So there's still space for other amenities, and now we gotta take that next step of understanding, where are these things gonna fit best on the site? How are they gonna relate to the other amenities that get decided to come into the park? How are we managing the stormwater, you know, all those different components that are gonna come into play. It's kind of the next step for us to take. Here's a neat drone picture that we took of the site. So this would be actually kind of, if you were in the southeast corner of the park, looking more west. So here's if you follow my cursor, that's the tree line with the big woods to the left. And then over here to the right is kind of the northern edge along the future road, Savannah Way, that will extend somewhere in this neighborhood. So there'll still be some more housing development on the far western edge of the farm site at a certain point, but generally this is all the future park area here. Looking at it. So just kind of want to step you through the process in terms of how we came to our recommendation tonight as far as which consultant to work with. So it all started with developing a team of a few other staff. It was myself, along with our community development director, Lee Cabot, our city planner, Ashley Crawley, and then recreation programming for Aaron Lincoln. We got together and I had provided them all a list of about 15 different consultants for us to consider. And we came up with some criteria for us to just kind of generally evaluate those various consultants. Some of those criteria included whether or not they had a local presence, the diversity of their portfolio, their experience with universal design, the usefulness of their website, generally looking at what their firm's emphasis was. You know, are they more landscape architect firm, more engineering, do they have, you know, both, things like that. And then generally any referrals that we're aware of, or any past working relationships, things like that. And so we took that all in, everybody kind of did their own research, and we came back together, had a conversation. It was ironic how we were all pretty much on the same page. And so we ended up bringing in, we narrowed it down to 5 consultants. We then reached out to those consulting firms and invited them in for a meeting, was the next step. So we wanted to get to know their firm. We wanted to understand who would be on their project team. And then we had them give us a presentation on a recent master plan that they've completed that they felt would be similar in scope to the one we're looking at. And then we just had some follow-up questions for them afterwards. So those were very good meetings to get to know each of the firms. And then we had the hard task of narrowing it down from those 5 down to 3. we then invited those three to respond to an RFP that we had submitted to them. So we can get more of their proposal on writing, in writing as to how they were approaching the project. Those three firms included Confluence, HKGI, and LHD. So from there, well, I should step back. When we met with those 5 consultants, it was that same team that I mentioned. Along with, I invited Matt Clark, our city engineer, along with Brian Young, our public works director. So they were helpful in providing feedback. And that entire group also reviewed your proposals that were submitted back into us. And then, you know, I asked them for feedback. So with that, we received those 3 proposals and through the process of just discussion and evaluation, we came to pretty easy consensus to move forward with Confluence. So I was kind of stepping through a little bit about Confluence. You know, some of the reasoning why we chose Confluence. So they've been around for 25 years. They actually started out as Brian Clark and Associates back in 1998. And in 2008, they moved over to the name Confluence. They've got 9 offices. They got offices throughout the whole Midwest. And they do consulting work all across the country. So you can see they've done over 4,000 projects. But they do have a firm in Indianapolis. They've done a lot of recent work with City of Bloomington, Edina, Burnsville, Apple Valley. They did a really neat project along the riverfront up in Soft Rapids. And then they were also part of the Viking Lakes development too over there. So a lot of familiarity. You know, from our perspective, I think, you know, really felt a great connection with them when we met with them. They seem to just have a lot of passion, a lot of creativity, just kind of a sense of bringing a new set of eyes into Chaska. What it was welcoming. The thing that stood out for me, I think, is their approach to community engagement. I think it just stood out compared to the other consultants. You'll see on the next slide, they're actually devoting a specific staff person to lead community engagement functions. Whereas the other consultants that would have been in addition to being the overall project managers, so I thought that stood out. Their approach to community engagement is going to include you know, an overall community-wide survey along with technology, utilizing an application called Social Pinpoint. So people will be able to go in and actually kind of make points on a map and comment, and share different ideas, things of that nature. We'll have focus group meetings. Also sitting down with various athletic associations and stakeholder groups will be an important part of the process. They've got planned in attending a few different pop-up events, so community events where we can intercept people and gather feedback. And then another neat thing that they do that was unique to their firm is they dub it as the Park of Palooza. So it's sort of a on the spot design charrette, where they bring in all of their designers and then take in the ideas and they start drafting out concepts on paper. That helps get through that process of developing a few different concepts. That's the goal, to provide, have them develop a few different concepts and then from there take it back out to the community, gather some more feedback, and then work towards a preferred design. The other unique thing with them, and it'll be a component of the project, is in the front, on the front end of this project, what we're gonna be asking the consultant to do is kind of an analysis of our entire park system, along with an analysis of similar sized city in the metro area and the types of amenities they have within their system, for us to kind of understand what are our needs and marrying that with future trends, national data, like that. I think with this being the last, community sized park, we anticipate there's going to be, a lot of demand for certain facilities, which is great. We want to hear all those voices, but we need something to sort of call on in terms of pointing us in a direction and understanding what are some of our needs that we want to incorporate into the future park. So they're going to be sub-consulting. They're going to be utilizing a sub-consultant with a company called Close Consulting. They're a national firm that does a lot of park planning, park evaluation, marketing analysis, things like that. If you recall, when we did the community center master plan, we worked with a company called Ballard and King. Pros Consulting and sort of the equivalent to Ballard and King from a parks and recreation perspective. So they'll bring a lot of good background and experience. As far as engineering will be a component of this work as well. We're not quite certain which engineering firm we're going to go with quite yet. I do know it'll be either Bolton Bank or Stantec, and possibly even a combination of both of them. Bolton Bank was part of their proposal. However, as a city, we do a lot of work with Stantec. Stantec had done some initial analysis of this park site. Our contracted consultants and our engineer looking at the whole southwest development area and already looking at just kind of how everything is going to be managed from a stormwater standpoint. So we're actually having a meeting with Confluence tomorrow, and we're just talking through that a little bit more and seeing what's going to make sense for us. So yeah, so those are really kind of the things that stood out as far as Confluence. And so the next page is just going to be highlight their team for you to be able to get a sense of who we'll be working with. So Brad Aldrich, he's got 23 years of experience. He's going to be the overall project manager and our point of contact on the project. Terry Demerick, he is the overall principal in charge. He's got 34 years of experience. Jenna Stanton is going to be taking the lead on the community engagement. She's got 12 years of experience. Jay Coriel is their senior park designer. He's got over 10 years of experience. And then Noel Convery is going to be their playground specialist. She's got 6 years of experience. However, she comes to them with a background in public health as a professional background. Really kind of brought a whole unique perspective into their team, and as it relates to that whole understanding of universal design. What
a great job title, playground specialist. I love that. That's
Me
great.
too.
You can be one when you grow up.
Someday I'm gonna grow up.
The other thing that I wanted to mention, as it relates to kind of the community engagement process and this notion that we talked about in the past about developing citizen task force. I had thought about it more, and I had a conversation with our city administrator and actually positioned it, to see whether or not he would support, rather than developing a citizen task force, what if we utilize the park and recreation as really kind of the primary task force, working hand in hand with staff, consultants going forward. And then we could really utilize, our monthly meetings, try doing a work session. Try to follow up kind of into like an every other month, basis, or as needed with the consultant. Kind of nice how that schedules is already built in. And then, ultimately have you make the recommendation to city council on that further, design consent. After talking through it, he fully supported it. I think that's advocated that you guys are such a strong, group of people. You bring a wide variety of perspectives. You're engaged, and I think just that consistency of, meetings and involvement in the plan, I think it was, important. So that's just a little bit of a shift in kind of our change and approach to the overall master plan. But we will still make sure that we are going out and meeting with all these different groups and trying to, make sure we're accounting for the various voices throughout our community. And that was another thing that really stood out with Confluence, like earlier. That is kind of another part of their approach that was specific in the proposal that they really feel obligated to, help us reach all the different segments within our community, and especially try to get creative and hearing from those that are, typically underrepresented through various ways. So appreciate that. So with that, I'll turn it over, see if you have any questions for me as it relates to Confluence or the project overall as we get started. But then ultimately, looking at 3 years or motion and make that recommendation to city council. And then our plan will be to then put that on the city council agenda for next week.
Moving along. Awesome.
Like tonight's agenda. Barreling for it.
How long was the process of vetting all these companies when you, started off with your 15 lists of companies?
Right, in the last couple of months.
Absolutely. Actually, it's a
Variety. 3 months. Because, the first part was rather quick, but then it took a little bit of time to coordinate those in-person meetings. Between all of their staff that we wanted present along with ours. And then, we took about a week to deliberate and then, reach out to the 3 that we wanted to get proposals back from. And then we gave them about 3 weeks to put their proposals together, and then we had a couple of weeks thereafter. Review and meeting.
Was this a clear winner among the group, or was everyone just kind of like, oh, they're all great? Or...
Yeah, and I probably, again, should have emphasized that. I think the 3 that we narrowed it down to, they are all very capable of doing a really good job. So it gets tough to make the decision, but you have to make a decision eventually. And I think involving other staff in the process and just sit down and listening to the different viewpoints. And it was clear that Confluence was rising above the other 2. So we got really good full support from all the staff wanting to move forward with Confluence.
Great.
What's the city said go? They propose to them, what's the time frame in terms of them providing a proposal to their meeting?
In terms of like completing the whole plan? Yeah, good question. So, once city council agrees, the next step would be to, put together an actual agreement to what the specific costs are gonna be, and scope of work, but, we anticipate it being probably, the hope is to have a plan completed by next fall. So I think probably about 8 to 10 months, somewhere in there. What we're aiming for. To be realistic, I think maybe we're kind of hoping for even sooner, but the more we even started talking with consultants, it's like, yeah, we want to do the community engagement part, right? It takes time.
Yeah.
And, the hope is, that we're gonna develop a plan also that's implementable. So the funding mechanisms here are different than the community center. It's a whole separate project. Here, there's different, dollars that are coming in through the whole development within Southwest. Things like that have been planned. So we'll want to be realistic about what kind of that budget is and then develop a plan that we can move forward. About a year.
Okay. Does that include this, when you talk about an analysis of the entire park system, does that include in that?
Yep. So that might be starting right away in the beginning. One of the first tasks will be for that consultant group to be working on that, and then, I think the Confluence will probably start with some other, existing conditions analysis, surveying, things of that nature. But that sort of overall analysis will help us provide a context before we go and have the community meeting.
Yeah, it'd be great, actually, fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, the entire system, because we need different.
Yeah.
Good.
Did you guys reach out? You mentioned that Confluence had done work, Apple Valley, Bloomington. Did you guys reach out to anybody in particular as far as reference? Or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah.
What did they have to say?
Yeah, so, I was able to get, feedback from the park and rec director from Bloomington. She's had experience looking at it for over 10 years.
Okay.
Positive things to say about it.
Okay. Do you remember offhand what they had done, what type of work they had done for Bloomington, or did she mention, or was it?
Yeah, so they've done, so she actually previously was the director of feedback, so she had some experience with that.
Okay.
Yeah, our master plan and even a system master plan, or system plan. Yep. Very cool. And I think she's working on like 9 different plans. We're coming to Bloomington right now.
Cool.
2 of them are currently under construction. Oh, great.
I can attest, I read Edina's park master plan that they did, and it
Mhm.
was really well put together and had a
Okay.
lot of really good information. So I think it'd be really good for us to have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think it's gonna be great to have, some fresh eyes just on the city and the park system itself. Because I'm right, as far as work throughout the city, this would be the first opportunity for influence in the city. Okay. I think that's great. I see a lot of the same names with a lot of the projects that we do, which is great because, building relationships is always wonderful and awesome, but I'm also a big proponent of, getting a fresh set of eyes on things. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So I think it's great.
Just out of curiosity, in terms of the 3 final groups, in terms of what they were, their RFPs for what they were wanting to get paid for this, were they all pretty similar in that regard? Or was Confluence like in the middle, where they both,
Yeah, Confluence actually was, a little bit on the lower end of the 3. But quite frankly, they were all like pretty close. Some of it just comes down to some nuances with how they approach like, the geotechnical engineering component, some of the surveying and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty actually impressive that all three were within a pretty tight range.
Yeah.
But nothing, no real significant outlier.
Yeah. And imagine they all probably know the terrain and about what they can charge and look to get for a project like this, but and just one other comment about the task force is having been a part of the other task force that you referenced. It was a great experience, but a long experience, and I welcome the opportunity to have the Park and Rec Commission be that rather than doing a citizen task force to be that component of this project, just because I think at the end of the day, it's all designed and geared towards community engagement. And I think that I've always really appreciated and respected not only Park and Rec here in Chaska, but the way that the city of Chaska always aspires to getting a high level of community engagement. But I still feel like not only us, but all the other communities around us, we're all still trying to sort of crack the code on what's the way to get that really deep level of community engagement. And I think that we're still probably working towards that. And I'm curious to see, you spoke very highly of this group and their, in terms of, aspirationally, that sounds like they might be pretty good at that piece of it and, suggesting a new way to look at community engagement. And I'm really excited to see that. And I think that in terms of, us doing the work of what the task force did for the community center master plan, I think that I would welcome the opportunity to get involved without having to schedule more meetings. So just personally, because I've enjoyed being on that citizen task force, but it's also really hard to get to more meetings each month. And the fact that we could fold it into what we're already doing, I think that's a great, and I think we have a great commission here. So.
Yeah, and I think a big component of success that stems from the community engagement first is the task force. Your involvement and your advocacy and helping consultants out along. So I know you guys are all passionate about this project and do a great job. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And the last thing, one last question was about the group Confluence. What did they give in terms of what intrigued them about doing this project? Why did they want to come here and do this project? I mean, at the end of the day, business is business and everybody wants to do business, but what is it about our community that intrigued them about being a part of this project?
Yeah, good question. I think, the opportunity to develop a relationship with a community they haven't worked with before was certainly a component of it. I think the size of the park is intriguing. The fact that it's the last one in Chaska, so it's kind of that, and that excitement about developing that last gem in the community. It's a little bit of a blank slate, but they also talk too just about the geography, the connection to the big woods, and the fact that the site slopes. They look at that as a fun thing and
Super cool.
Work with the land, be creative with it, not have to move a whole lot of dirt around, and what's there. And that's what I think Brett Aldrich, the project, is really known for. It was more of that working with the land and then geographical.
That's great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I would just echo Zach's comments about being very excited about working with the Park and Rec Commission as the task force on this. I think it gives us a real opportunity and gives us a nice work plan for the coming year. So I think that'll be very exciting, and it sounds like you have a great group to work with. So I'm excited to meet some of them and work with them along with the staff. So.
Good recruitment tool to try to get our next youth representative. What's that? Yeah.
I was a little bit worried it was gonna come to fisticuffs and we could only choose two of us. for the task force. It's really a lot of weight off my shoulders.
I was ready.
Oh, that's what you were signing about earlier.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Cause I mean, and all truth, I mean, those are my thoughts. I'm like, how do you go about out of all of us? I mean, who do you choose? We each bring so much
Yeah.
to the table and so many different things to the table.
Exactly.
Different perspectives. Yeah. So I partially think it's great. Really awesome.
Plus, we all like hanging out with each other, so.
Yeah.
It's a legacy
I
project.
wasn't even here.
It's a legacy project because of it, of everything you just talked about it being the last one. And it's exciting to be a part of it in some small way, and I was gonna take my name out of running for this because I was in the last one and I was like, I was really upset about that. I was sad.
Well,
This is-
shouldn't we
this is great.
nominate Danelle to be like the chair of the task force since she's not here?
Well,
That's what happens when you.
Yeah.
When you don't show up.
but also she'd be really good at it too. That's, and not just as punishment, of course it's punishment, but she'd be really good at it too, though.
Thanks, Marshall.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any further questions or discussion? No? All right. Thank you very much for the presentation, Marshall. Oh, yes.
I would then make a motion to recommend that the city council hire Confluence for the Southwest Community Park, which needs a better name.
Second, both of those.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is just like.
I think there's one built in right there, but
But thank you guys for your hard work and everything that you've done so far on the project. Thank you both. And please thank your team.
Oh, yeah.
From us.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
I
think
we'll play with that. Okay, moving on to item 8, discussion items, and 8A, park and trail updates.
Well, got some pictures to show you here. Quite a bit happening at Lions Park if you haven't been there recently. Here's a picture depicting the pickleball expansion occurring. So this I took yesterday morning. So crews are up there. And I think,
Cool.
the thing to point out here that I just think is phenomenal is, it's our city staff performing the majority of this work rather than contracting out. So you can see they're putting in, getting the base going. It's gonna be our streets crew that's gonna pour all the concrete, it's gonna pour all the asphalt. Set everything up for the fencing to be mounted in. All the other amenities. So the goal is to try to get that all accomplished yet this fall, weather permitting. It just won't be playable yet. They'll come back in next spring and put in that top court surfacing. We're gonna need time for that asphalt here.
I rode my bike by there just randomly 2 Sundays ago, and this is at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was full.
Yeah.
I rode by there and I'm like, oh, I gotta see what's going on at pickleball here. And it's full. I just heard lots of chatter as I was riding up to it before I could even see it. And clearly people are out there. I'm like, no, it was full on a Sunday morning at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So every morning.
Yes, I'll just continue to provide you progress updates on. Lions Park shelter restoration, so the shelter building there, as you recall, got damaged earlier in the year due to a fire. So it is now fully restorated. Kind of like the blue doors they put on, adds a nice little different touch. You'll also notice their brand new air conditioner. So we went ahead and provided a little bit of conditioning on the interior. Makes a little bit nicer experience in the summer. And then it also helps condition the storage side, on the other side of this building. So as you know, this serves, as a warming house in the winter for the ice rink, but now we have some flexibility in the summer. To utilize that with some, some of our kids programming, or maybe there's a little event after a pickleball day, something like that. This gives us a little. So kudos to the public works staff for getting that back on and running.
Was there ever, is it still an active investigation? Was anything ever, did they ever catch anybody or anything? Okay, sure.
So it was arson. It wasn't just a,
And it looks like there are cameras there now. Were there cameras before?
Yes, but they were different.
Oh,
You-
sure. Yeah, okay.
And usually that stuff occurs at night.
Yeah, so it's, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Not exactly saying cheese. Yeah, I get it. Ah, it's too bad.
And then the Lions Park playground replacement, if you go out there today, you're gonna see that they're starting to take down the existing playground. So that's occurring this week. Once again, that old playground equipment essentially just gets recycled. Plastic is separated from the metal, all gets recycled. And then the new, installation will start happening next week. So excited to see that
Yeah.
coming to fruition as well. A lot of nice enhancements. Athletic park, so here's a picture from earlier.
oh man,
One day that occurred earlier this spring, which, as you can see, it was completely, killed off the turf there. We did quite a bit of damage to the grandstand. And as of yesterday, you can see the efforts being made again, a lot by our staff, getting that grass reestablished. So starting to come, I think Brian, would say that it's been quite the effort. Even as that was pretty green from afar, they've had to deal with fungus and some weeds, and some of the recent heat has affected it, so they continue to reseed. He thinks the next couple of weeks are looking really good though. That 60-degree weather overnight, and then kind of humidity was during the day. That was their home. So the goal here is really to get that grass reestablished before winter hits, so that we can come back in the spring and resume activity on the field. They're also working on some of the damage within the grandstand, so repainting, repairing electrical, like that. They did apply to FEMA to get some funding, so I think was a recent meeting, or there's one coming up, but we think we'll get some funds from the federal. That'll, some of the costs being incurred, repair the grandstand.
so insurance doesn't cover something like that for us,
Yeah.
or only a certain portion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, go after some of the federal. Now, this is one that was done a little while ago, but I don't think I ever looked back just to show you a picture, but.
Oh, yeah.
This would be the phase 2, trail paving of the Savannah Oaks Park. So on the left there was when they had rough cut it and rocked it, and then on the right, you can see the trail going through there. It's a beautiful area, just, oak trees through there.
That's trees or something.
Does it look that awesome when you walk through it, Terry?
Yeah, it does. I walked through it quite a bit. So it is fun to go through there, and I think they just actually came through and kind of cut along the edges, and Phil did some additional restoration work as well. So people are using it all the time, going through the woods. I see them walking their dogs, and people even from across the street, across Savannah on the other side, come over and walk their dogs through there because it's a nice loop for them. So
That's cool.
How long is the loop if you track it?
I think it's about maybe 7 to 8 tenths of a mile if you do the full loop.
So nice big lot.
It's not light.
No lighting, no.
Can wear a headlamp, Liz.
All right, Meadow Park planning. This is an older picture, actually, if you've driven by recently, you can see the walls cutting off.
Yeah.
For the public, safety cases. You can see the progress there. So as far as planning the redesign of this park, I have a meeting set up with HKGI. So we're gonna be utilizing them for this project. Their landscape architect had already been working along with CNH, which was the architect for the building. So probably this is a good transition to continue with them. So we have a meeting set up for September 24th, it's a virtual meeting. And at that meeting, I've got Scott Sullivan in Public Works, joining up along with Selmer Olson, Parks Foreman, the police chief and the fire chief. They're gonna all serve as part of the project team. We're gonna HKGI on this. In this first meeting, we're only just to establish some context. So getting that group on the same page, revisiting the site plan. And remembering what we have to work with there. Starting to assemble a timeline, and put some thoughts together around. And then from there, we intend to invite a couple of residents today. That engaged at the open houses and expressed an interest in being a part of it. So the thought is for us to kind of internally create a little bit of context, and have some, some information to go off of, and then invite those residents in, share that with them, get their thoughts, if they got any feedback. But then from there, start to kind of work towards a plan with those residents. This is the neighborhood park, so it shouldn't take as long. My hope is by the end of the year or early next year, we'll have a recommendation for you. With the thought and the goal of trying to start construction on that next fall. I think the plan is for that building to open next fall and start occupying it. So we'll try to time it the best we can to get that playground in. As it's opening or shortly thereafter. Again, it's a lot of just weather dependency. We really can't get in there until a lot of the building is in and after they grade it, things like that. So that'll be a fun process and be sure to keep you updated along the way with opportunities to be involved in technology. And then autumn woods park planning. The thing I'm noting here is we're gonna likely look at doing this one next year. Just with the master plan, Meadow Park, no one do so much. So we really kind of prioritize Meadow Park since that was an existing park. And so we'll get those ones up and running, and then I anticipate autumn woods sometime next spring or summer. And quite frankly, I think it's the right thing to do too. I think that community is still building. And I know that a component of that neighborhood park plan is also going to include the access to that park, especially from autumn woods. If you recall through that planning process, there was some concerns about the nature of people currently walking the road. There aren't any sidewalk facilities over there.
The speed of the auto traffic going through there.
Yes, I think giving it some more time and seeing if more residents get in there and what the traffic patterns really are, is probably gonna be to our benefit as we take parking as well.
I have seen it's my neighborhood Chaska to this one, and we have a small park, Jonathan Association Park. And they're all walking over to it, which is kind of a nice opportunity for the two neighborhoods to maybe like meet and see
Yeah.
where all the kids live and make other friends. So I think it works out. Okay, not having.
And that's a good point too. I mean, the fact is there is, you know, the content part there that I think is providing a service as we sit here today too.
Mhm.
What percentage of that neighborhood is filled in as far as houses? Is it like 50% or is it more or less than that?
It's hard to know because a lot of the homes are built. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty well built up. I just don't know in terms of occupancy quite, I'm not exactly certain that.
I just walked through there last night and so many people are already living in these houses that you just, they got completed last week and then all of a sudden someone moved in the
Yep.
next day.
Mhm.
I'd say pretty close to being
Yeah.
done.
And it appears like it's really just kind of the homes on the perimeter that are left to build. That's along the woods, but most everything else. Yeah, so I think it'll still be good timing to, you know, start this plan early part of next year or the summer.
Mhm.
And I think that, yeah, that was it for like trail updates.
Question, I'm just curious, most when I bike the trails, see a lot of dead ash trees. Has our parks been affected by dead ash trees that maybe?
Yeah, I know Brian has really taken the lead on that within our public works. Assessing the ones that are just kind of beyond the point of no return and, you know, taking those ones down. I think there's some areas where he's treated them, you know, to try to preserve. But yeah, it's definitely effective. Yeah.
Yeah, it really excites a lot of ash trees. Yeah, I don't know if you've done a survey.
I talked to Selmer, who is our certified arborist, and he's a pretty good handle of what's going on. What happened this last winter, because Chaska had it just detected in like 2021, I think. And usually in the disease curve, you have like a really long time before you hit like where it is now. But because we had such a warm winter, we didn't have the dieback that we usually have with the larvae, and so it just is appearing a lot worse than it normally would have for a community to be able to like fully prepare after finding it. But they'll slowly work through it. Typically, like most of the surrounding communities do most of the removals in the winter time, in between snow plowing. So that's probably when a lot of more removals will take place.
You can just see it smattered through the trail system.
Yeah.
Green trees and then no fall.
Yeah. Well, that's well, the late August. That was a couple of days of pretty good storms that came through. Like, we did have a lot of down trees and limbs and I mean, that's another just testament to our staff. They were out there cleaning a lot of that up while still working on all these projects that I highlighted for you. Everything else. I think they're just kind of starting to wrap all that up. And, you know, thankful for a lot of the residents. I know that they had opened up athletic park for residents to be able to take some of the things that have fallen in their yards. Helped out, they just taking down there on their own. So, I think, the community effort.
Okay, that brings us to 8B, recreation updates.
Right. So prior to Labor Day weekend. Prior to Labor Day weekend, I had shared with you that we closed down the community center for a week to do a variety of work. Here is a in-action photo of the fitness center getting upgraded with all new flooring and all new strength equipment. Big undertaking. With, you know, taking out all the just previous flooring. Our staff took out all of the cardio equipment. You know, put it in all the hallways and things like that. And then, Johnson Fitness came in and did the flooring, we installed the strength, and then our staff brought in all the cardio. So everything's set up. I don't think any of you have been down there yet, but thus far, we've, got a lot of positive feedback. The upgrades that have occurred. So big thanks to the staff. Involved in that. Pool is another big, part of the shutdown, so we drain it. Staff literally scrub the whole pool, the deck, and go through and really just kind of deep clean everything. Go through all the filters, and then work towards refilling it back up and, warming it up before we open. So the pool's looking great. When we reopened, and then the floors was another big thing. Coming in and sand down the floors and put a new coat on there. I don't know, we're quite like that already, but it gets scuffed up pretty quick. Fun to take a picture, right?
It's got a nice sheen to it. Yeah.
Every year do you do these things?
So we have never completely shut down for a week. A lot of times we'll just shut down in the area and just do the pool. Different time we'll do another thing. But this year with the fitness center stuff and just needing to move equipment into the hallways and all that, it just made sense to close down. We targeted the week that, has the least amount of attendance coming into the building. And, we staff are kind of deliberating after the fact. I think it's something we may do annually. There's just always stuff to do in between, and we're gonna have little mini projects as we go. And this is nice to kind of get it all done in 1 week and minimize some of the impact of the others kind of throughout the year.
The equipment room probably doesn't need that every year, right? It's a matter of replacing the flooring.
Yeah, that'll be good to go now for a while. Yeah, I mean, the next thing there will just be when the lease is up on the cardio equipment. That'll be more of a 1 or 2 day swapping out. But there's, even just like painting. Maybe a flooring projects, things like that, if we can target 1 week to do it and accomplish. The flooring in the gyms should be done every year. The pool maintenance is an annual thing for sure. So there's enough stuff that needs to be done. Warrants a block closures. Let's see, and then just highlighting some more things here within the recreation. So last Saturday, the fitness staff hosted a never forget workout honoring 9/11 over at Veterans Park. Great participation. I guess we had close to 100 people this last Saturday participating in the workout, so that was awesome to see. And then new this year, once school got back up and running, we're offering a after-school care program at the community center. So we have 30 kids signed up.
Oh, great.
The school district buses them over after school.
Oh, wow.
Spends time with us. Till 6 o'clock when their parents come and pick them up. So great new program for us, good use of the facility. We found out from the school district that there's a waiting list for kids to get after school care, so we kind of understood there was a need for that. And dipping our toes, 30 kids is quite a bit.
What's the age?
But, what's that?
Is it elementary school?
Elementary school. You know, so we're gonna see how it goes. I think there could be potential to grow the program in the future. You know, it was kind of comes down to how we want to allocate some of our space and growing the staff with it. And I guess as long as there's still a need, we can kind of continue this thing a little bit easier. So again, just great work with our staff. They're from the guest services and our under daycare that are one program.
Jonathan Elementary isn't one of the schools though?
Yeah, they're not in it.
That's interesting.
Yep. I think it was has to do with the busing.
Sure.
Busing.
Great program.
Yeah. This already occurred, but since we didn't meet last month, I wanted to just highlight, activity at the curling center that occurred back on the weekend of August 9th, which was in conjunction with the U.S. Amateur Tournament that's occurring at the town course in Hazelton. But we were hosting the USA Curling Mixed Doubles Olympic pre-trials over there in the community center. And in combination with that was USA Curling's member assembly meeting as well. So we had members from USA Curling from all over the country here in Chaska taking the mixed doubles trials along with part of that assembly. They had a instructor level 2 course, a coach's clinic, they had a sweeping panel. Really got into the details about curling and sweeping. And then they had their annual.
I love it.
Go with it. And then the other cool thing is part of that weekend's events, Team McCormick was inducted into the USA Curling Hall of Fame. So you can see the 2 gals there on the right were part of Team McCormick. And back in 2003, they were the first women's USA team to win a gold medal at the World Championships. It was featured on a Wheaties box.
Awesome. So cool.
So just again, like super cool that, you know, our facility here in Chaska is hosting these caliber of events and for the staff be coordinating that. Making sure everybody's having a great experience throughout it's pretty awesome. You know, same weekend when US Amateurs is going on too. But, you know, we just kind of here in Chaska humbly roll out.
Curious to know, did any feedback come from the people that visited, like, oh,
Oh, I
you know,
love,
this is great?
yeah, they were all super impressed with the facility, the ones that have never been in before, better conditions of the ice. The cool factor of the, you know, the restaurant being attached to it, and, yeah. So they had a lot of really good time.
But, awesome.
All right, and then coming up, we've got, this coming Friday, the Latin Music Food Festival, from 5 to 9:30. Get a chance to check it out, it's super cool, there's gonna be all kinds of food trucks, with Latin type food, great entertainment, dancers, and then, it also finishes with fireworks. If you didn't get a chance to catch the fire nice. Here's the next.
Be pretty similar setup.
Similar setup,
Yeah.
not quite, you know, it'd probably be kind of the Friday night version of the fire ice, which is still.
It was pretty impressive.
And
Mhm.
then the week after, we've got the Chaska Cares Music Fest. So this is a fundraising music fest, again, with efforts going towards the Miracle League Field and the Universal Playground. Game plan for the future park we talked about earlier. So that'll be next week, Friday, starting at 4 o'clock. It's free to attend the event. So we're just really trying to attract people to the event, have a good time, take in some food, taking some beverage. Our Chaska Rotary Lions will be, providing beverages. And then also as part of the fundraising effort is raffle tickets. And so there's a raffle ticket, it's $20 a ticket or 3 for 50. And that raffle gets you into a split pot opportunity. So one winner will win half of the pot, you know, the other half is gonna go towards the playground. And then there's, one more ticket that detaches from the raffle ticket. Whereas if you're present at the event, you can opt to put it in a bucket for a few other giveaways that we have at the event. The split the pot, you don't have to be present. So we're just trying to get those out the bottle and. We got a really good lineup, 17 Kevin's and Space Jam are 2 local bands. Space Jam plays at Heartbreakers, in Chaska here a lot and on Sundays. Doing a lot of this cool cover songs. Wicked Garden, they're pretty well renowned as kind of that 90s grunge era music, so things like Temple Pilots and things like that.
I'll say they're named after a Stone Temple Pilots song.
They play around the whole Midwest.
Hmm.
And then the Way Down Wanderers, they're an original artist and they're coming from Peoria, Illinois. Kind of a bluegrass band. They actually were on the rise pre-COVID. They were featured in the Rolling Stone article. It's kind of an up and coming band with bluegrass scene. But obviously got impacted by COVID and being a newer band, there's working their way back up. They released a new album earlier this year. They've been on tour all across the country. Throughout the year, they took a little bit of a break and then now they're back out on the fall tour. Here in Chaska. We'll be welcoming them to the community and just having a good time. We're not gonna have fireworks at this event, but we're gonna do a luminary. So that'll be kind of neat. We're gonna set up some luminaries along the bridge in the back, and they're gonna be solar based. So as the night gets darker, we'll kind of have a little luminary background. Yeah, cool. Looking forward to that. Myself, along with our city administrator and one of the Chaska Rotarians that's been part of the planning committee are going to be attending an event on Thursday night at CHS Field. It's called Cigars and Baseball. And this is an event that actually is a fundraiser that supports Miracle Leagues across the state. So it's kind of a deep tie in there. I've gotten to know the event organizer that puts that on. He invited us there last year. They actually afterwards contributed $10,000 for the city of Chaska. They put it into a fund so that, you know, when our project becomes real, we'll be able to access that. But this year he's provided us actual booth space at the event where we'll be able to hopefully sell some of these raffle tickets. That's the HS field that garners more support. That'll be a fun game. And then I think this is the last recreation update, but I talked a while back about the city submitting some projects into the University of Minnesota's Utility Community Project program. We were successful in quite a few of the applications. One more related to the one I'll be leading, along with our city planner, Ashley Colley, is working with a group of students that are going to help develop an evaluation plan that comes up, that kind of stems off of our pedestrian and bicycle master plan. So one of the key components within that plan is evaluation. So this is really just getting an outside perspective from students to put together kind of an evaluation plan and toolkit that we can consider as a city moving forward to just measure measure progress over time. Are people biking and walking more as we build more trails, as we do more programming, as we put on more events, as we educate, more about it, things like that. So actually, during the day of Friday, September 20th, right before Chaska Fair, and naturally now we don't have to do a meeting with that student group. Just kind of set the stage for the project, fielding questions they may have, and her and I will be continuing to, be a resource to them throughout this semester. And then once they wrap it up, though, I'll probably be looking to have them maybe come to Park and Rec Commission meeting and present their plan. It's an opportunity for them to get some public speaking experience, government experience.
We get some visitors.
Yes.
Yep. As we humbly go about our business.
That was that one. So the
All right.
last agenda item is just an update on facility naming rights and our work with superlative group. So that phase 2 period has come to an end. Fortunately, I'm not coming before you with a partner, like I had hoped. So really, the next phase here is kind of built into the agreement. Is there's this what's called it's like a 12-month. I think they call it a hold off period. So essentially, what that is superlative is not going to actively try to engage more corporations at this point, just because we're finalizing phase 2. However, they still have some active conversations going on. So they are gonna continue to follow through on those active discussions. And then also through their experience, sometimes it's just timing. And timing is a big part of these types of partnerships. Maybe there was a previous conversation a year ago where they sat on, wanted to contemplate it a little bit further. Leadership might change and it might trigger a new way of looking at this. And there is that potential they reach back out to superlative. So it was kind of that 12-month period where they're still there to support any type of inquiry that would come back to them. We would then entertain what that might look like. And then kind of as they're in that period, what I've asked them to do is put together sort of a summary of findings that kind of memorializes the work that they did throughout phase 2, and maybe just from their perspective as professions within the naming rights arena. What feedback did they hear? Was there anything that they think contributed to it? Just a little bit of insight, I think, would be helpful as a city, kind of all from their perspective. Which, in talking with them, I think it really, the thing that I took away is it takes time, and it's the right company at the right time. It just didn't happen. I don't think it's no negativity to the facility. I had asked the question, are they still seeing municipal type facilities getting naming rights partners throughout the country? And that definitely was the case. They're working on active projects, so it's not like as industry there's been a downturn on that necessarily, but I don't know. I think we know it's a state-of-the-art facility that attracts national events. I think from my perspective, though, we're still in a rather small town, so I think the exposure is probably a factor. But if we can find that company that I think's just got a passion for curling, still could be that opportunity. You know, and then timing, you know, we got the, you know, the Winter Olympics is gonna be coming up, and there's always just an uptick in interest in curling whenever the Winter Olympics come, so we'll see what happens there. I think from our perspective, you know, we're gonna kind of turn our focus inward now, you know, work on opportunities within the facility. Start looking at, you know, some nice logos, maybe some things above this words, things like that. Still doing it, you know, in a very professional, classy way, but knowing that we're likely not gonna get that overall building, you know, naming partner. The next step's kind of like more within the facility and see what type of opportunities go in this step.
Marshall, could one factor be that Crooked Pint's already there, so you've already got kind of a major retail tenant in the facility?
I don't know, it's.
I mean, because they've got
But I think that-
signage and all that, you know, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I sort of feel like they could coexist and, you know, I think the type of, you know, markets that they were looking at, you know, healthcare, auto, technology, you know, it wasn't necessarily competing with
I know, it just,
restaurant per se, but I don't know.
I mean, it's different than just the city having a, you know, concession stand in the facility, you know, I mean, it's.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't recall there being any feedback
I-
specifically on it, but, you know, I didn't ask directly.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah. Good topic. I think that'd be a good follow. You know, whether or not they did anything we did for that. I mean, in some degree, I'd also say that it shows the uniqueness of the city partnering with private.
well, it does, and it gives the curling center that unique feature, you know, I mean, like you said earlier, it really is cool, so.
Okay,
So that is it for all of my discussion items.
thank you, Marshall.
Yep.
That brings us to item 9, other business, and 9A, the round table. Mike, why don't we start on your side this time?
Wow.
I think I've been going from the right side.
Yeah,
Thank
Past
you.
couple times.
So last month, I was in a meeting for the Nick Nation Scholarship Program. Gary was in there, Aaron was in there, and Mason was in there as well. Really great to get an update there. There's a $4,000 anonymous donation that was put into the fund, so we got to get a decision that we're gonna keep doing and do more, ownership of the purpose. So kind of excited to be a part of that. We're trying to get that done. Hopefully we get other side of the board, so we can get more money in there and a lot more. So, that was a great meeting last month, and then, you mentioned the amateur golf tournament. So, shipping the tickets for those. It's fun to hop every day and dodge and showers, but it was a really cool tournament, and kind of excited to see that in our community. So, cool. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was, thank you for those tickets. We actually had a couple for staying with us. And so I had a whole new perspective on that. I'm going there, watching that. So that was really fun, because we didn't get tickets.
where are they from?
Italy.
Oh, wow,
Spoke perfect English.
that's great.
But they didn't make the first cut, unfortunately. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed the upgrade in the community center. I was not prepared for that week off because we go every day and think, that's tough. I'd say that's tough. But we personally filter sprayer and we made it their week. It smells new in there, you know, with the new, I don't know if that cork, in the, down in the, weight room. What they
Yeah,
put
it's
on?
more like a rubberized.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it smells new in there, so that was very nice, they did a nice job. And then the other thing that I was involved in, or I went to, was the, art in the park, was that a park in Norton?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that was a lot of fun, they had, actually some very good, art, provided, art displayed, and some, it was pretty well attended when I was there. Hope you, is that an annual thing, or is that new?
Yeah, it's been the 30th that we've done it.
Oh, really, okay,
So that's in collaboration with the Carver County Arts Consortium.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one of those where it just takes a little time to grow it, but,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of, we have over 60 vendors there.
That's awesome.
yeah, very high quality stuff. I enjoyed that.
I too attended the golf outing. That was super fun. Love that. Bunch of people out in the community. Attended the art fair too. It seemed like there were more vendors this year, so that was nice as well. I wanna give a shout out to the city staff. There was a pipe that burst in my neighborhood Saturday morning, and just disgusting water running down the street, and those city workers were there promptly, and I think there for like a whole work day working on this. And so I know my neighbor whose front yard this happened in is very appreciative for all the work that the city staff have done. And then I'm just looking forward to the Chaska Cares concert coming up. I think it's a neat opportunity this year for people, because it's free. I think in the past, last year when we had it, the tickets were had a price tag associated, so hopefully more families come out to get involved. And I was just wondering if there's opportunity to buy tickets in advance for that shared pot, because I really would like to buy a lot of tickets and win.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
After the meeting.
All right.
But also, just so you all know, they are available for purchase at the community center, right at the front desk. And they're also available at Shrine Brewing.
Okay, and this is just leading up to the concert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between all of them.
Okay, good.
So Friday the 20th, and then they're available after the event.
Okay, well, this maybe I'll just get mine through
If
Shrine,
if
so give me
fireworks-
an excuse to go there.
I meant to ask, the touch a truck. Wasn't able to attend, but it moved to the high school.
Yeah.
How did that go? Being that it was at the high
Anybody
school,
else attend the touch truck thing?
I wasn't able to.
It's all posted for the map, which is, it's the.
Yeah, yeah, so, always, you never know going into it, what to change the venue, did it work it out?
Mhm.
Certainly did, it was very successful. I think we heard a lot of positive feedback, just things were spaced out a little bit more.
That's
So
the
a little hard to
exact,
gauge.
yeah, that's what I
the
heard.
crowd, but I think it was the same, if not more.
Okay.
I was sort of envisioning, like, if I took everybody here and put it into like one row of a parking lot, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
What I noticed too is I think the little kids had a little extra time even just playing on the equipment. There were still lines, but it didn't feel like it was as long of a line, with some more spacing.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, I think overall very positive. I think our intent is to work with the school to see if they'd be okay with that. Possibly being the future home of that event.
Okay, yeah, so, kind of echo what you had said, the few people that I spoke to, that was the one thing they mentioned. There was like, oh, there was more room. That, it just felt a lot more open, and and inviting to them, so.
That's, seamless for the departments that brought in all the equipment, coming in one side of the parking lot, park at an angle, and when they left, they just drove right out the other side of the parking lot, and it was super easy.
Awesome.
And having all that field space for the kids' activities.
Good. Good. That's all I had.
I've spoken enough tonight, so I'll pass it over to my good friend Carly over here.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. I wanted to just do a shout out to all the city staff, from our Parks and Rec staff to our Public Works staff. All of you guys are just putting in a lot of extra work, and it's really appreciated by our community. So thank you very much. Your turn.
I attended Fire Ice Festival both nights, great music. It was a lot of fun and staff was great as always. And also went to the art event as well, and that was great. And if people are interested in more art, the Art Consortium of Carver County, the last weekend in September, does an art wander throughout Carver County. So anyone's welcome to attend that, and you can find information online about that. And that people have various artists and homes throughout the county, and it's kind of cool to go visit depending on what art you might like. So do a shout out for that. But otherwise, nothing else to report.
One other thing I was gonna add before we close regarding next month.
Mhm.
We're not gonna have a meeting. I'm gonna be out of town.
Marshall, I don't remember approving this PTO.
Yeah, there should have been action items.
I know, that could have been an action item.
Well, we could still get together without Marshall.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't have to be a meeting.
I'll be attending the National Park and Recreation Association conference.
All right,
Where is it?
in Atlanta.
Oh, fun.
great.
Never been to Atlanta.
It,
Check that out. Taking Jeff Isaacson, our curling and event center manager. So that'll be an opportunity for him to see the National Park and Recreation scene. Oh, even a curling and event center. Fits within all that. Should be cool. So that being said, we will not have a meeting next month. But I'll just keep you posted, just depending on sort of the timeline with Confluence and when we might want to have an initial kickoff meeting. If we feel like we'll need it before our November meeting, I'll let you know. We may want to have something before the November meeting. We'll spend a week there. And keep you informed. I'll try to target a Tuesday night though.
if you can,
Okay. With that, on to item 10, adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn meeting.
Finding and Howard. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? You are adjourned.